What's up, guys? So last night I posted a video about my thoughts on Wally West's death, and if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it at the end. But I had told Lewis that we were going to make a video today, and really we could let Lewis dish out his thoughts about it too, because we've talked about it a few times, but I feel like with Tom King coming out and talking about him being dead, or at least from what I understood, he said my series isn't about bringing people back.
Right.
That the people are dead. Of course, that doesn't mean anything in comic books, but it's kind of a low blow for us.
Yeah.
As Wally West fans, and since Wally West is his favorite, I figured I'd give him a chance to speak. So, boom.
All right. DC Comics, I'm about tired of the way you hating on the Titans.
Good shot.
This is some ridiculousness. Straight up ridiculousness. Okay. I think your deep-seated hatred of the Titans goes all the way back to the 80s. That's right, the 1980s. Marv Wolfman and George Perez, they didn't understand when they started the magic that they had captured in their series. I've read interviews where they said, we're not even sure it'll last 6 issues. But if we get 6 issues, we'll rock with it and we'll go on. George Perez was waiting to be called up to do Justice League on a regular basis. And then Titans took off. And they never looked back. Not only that, but you guys are upset that Barry was killed off by that same creative duo, Wolfman and Perez. And not only that, but they handed over the reins, I'm sure, through editorial's permission to Wally West. And then that dude just raced straight up the charts to popularity. Largely due, I think, to the character's vulnerability. The fact that he was actually a person and not just, this caricature of a person. Wally made mistakes. We've talked about this before. He grew as a character and those sorts of things. He was so popular, in fact, that the early 90s Flash show, even though the name of the character was Barry Allen, it skewed more toward the personality of Wally West in some ways, and also introduced some of the characters that were introduced during Wally West's run as the Flash. Not only that, but the Justice League cartoon show. Who was that? Well, for so long, we didn't know, right? It was the Thanagarian invasion, the last episode of the main Justice League series before it became Justice League Unlimited. They revealed their identities to each other. Yeah. And he was Wally West.
That's the first time I really learned about the Flash.
Right.
That's where the Flash that I knew right there was Wally West.
So, okay. With a character that important, that seminal to the DC universe, where he carried the mantle of Flash for nearly 30 years, definitely 25 years, before they brought back Barry. Why? Why would you ever kill him off screen? I don't even understand it. Like, it's one thing to shadow the villain or whoever killed him, the murderer, so that you can keep that aspect of mystery. But it seems like you're telling us it's Booster Gold in the first issue, so I'm really confused. What's going on there? I quit reading comics regularly about 10 years ago because of crap like this. Wally West had become his own man, had done his own thing. And I mean, ultimately, this fascination with murdering heroes, yeah, people want to say it started with Superman. I don't buy that. I think it got revved up in the early 2000s, particularly with things like Identity Crisis and Infinite Crisis. I mean, there's so many thoughts going through my head. I'm trying to get. Why did you kill him off screen? If you were gonna kill him and you wanted to make the reveal of like who killed him and all and how, like a mystery, then just wait to show us that he's dead. You can just make an announcement that everyone at Sanctuary is dead. You don't have to show me Wally and Roy. You did that because you want people to buy the book and see if they come back. But you've already announced that they're not coming back in your story, and so in that regard, I have no reason to buy the book. I'll just go online and read the spoilers, figure out if it's a good story or not. He'll tell me about it too. So
Well,
at least the second issue. I know he's announced that he would pick up the second issue. I think, right?
yeah, I've already told Brandon that I was gonna get the series,
Yeah.
so he's already ordered issue 2 and maybe 3. So I'm in it till that far because I'm a man of my word. But um, if they kill Tim Drake, the series is over for me.
Right.
I'm like, no, I don't care anymore. You know, I'm
Um,
very disappointed. Although you were telling me earlier that uh, Bendis is getting Young
Young
Justice, which
Justice,
I'm
yeah.
super excited about. Bendis, I was not looking forward to him at all, but he did great on Superman. And the fact that we're getting Connor, we're getting Bart and Tim, I'm in sweet heaven right now.
Yeah.
But we need Wally.
Right. So here's the thing, like for so many years, Wally was the flagship Flash, right? And they even were rumors multiple times that they would take the supporting cast like Jay and Jesse and Max and some of these other ones, the lesser speedsters, so to speak, and make a Speed Force book dedicated to those characters. DC, you could have done that with Wally. And those of us who love Wally would have been fine with that. I've appreciated the guy writing the Flash book. I feel like he's done a great job juggling
Is it
all of that.
Williamson?
Williamson, yeah. I don't understand. We just got Wally back. We just got to a good point, and now you upend it all for the sake of shock and awe.
Well, and such a huge fan reaction when that Rebirth issue came out, and we saw Wally West,
And we're like,
let's
go.
This is amazing. Like this
Right.
is what we wanted.
And then
New
his
52,
costume.
New 52 might have brought a lot of young people back there into comics, but it drove out a lot of older comic book readers because one of the main reasons was Wally West.
Well, I would argue it's because you abandoned continuity altogether. It's like
There's a lot of stuff they did wrong,
Right.
but Wally West was one of the big problems. There were a few big ones, and Wally West was one of them.
I hated the shocks of Identity Crisis back in the day. I liked the murder mystery aspect. The guy who wrote that, I enjoyed most of his Justice League run. Infinite Crisis, there were aspects of that I appreciated, but there were things in there like Risk, one of the Titans getting his arms ripped off, and things like and Superboy dying. Spoiler alert. Those kind of things, I'm just like, do we have to do that? Is there a way we can do that without it being so graphically violent and things like that, or heinously violent? Not only that, I thought the 52 series was excellent. And yeah, you're probably like, well, some people got ripped apart by Black Adam, and I'm like, yeah, so I'm not on board with that. I just think, overall the story was good. Countdown sucked, and I just quit reading after that. Final Crisis, I couldn't even be bothered to show up for that. Flashpoint, really?
I like the idea of Flashpoint, but I wasn't around when it was coming out, so.
I just hate that Flash had to lead to it. I mean, make the guy a lightning rod, for crying out loud. Sorry, couldn't resist. New 52? No, thank you.
I'm alright with that.
I just really don't want to do that. I don't want to restart the universe and have these characters act out of character.
Yeah, that's one of the problems I had with New 52.
Dude, Rebirth happened. He lent me the Rebirth issue, and I'm like, okay, now I'm interested. You're telling me all the stuff that I hated isn't real? Okay, I'm listening. And then he's lending me comics like the Titans stuff and the Titans hunts, and I'm like, all right, so you do care about continuity again, DC? All right, I'm willing to give you a shot. And so I was this close, that close to being hooked again.
I think part of what made the New 50 or the Rebirth was Jeff Johns being in charge. Like they announced that he was in charge, and suddenly everything got better.
Right, but then he stepped back, right, for something else. there's a part of me that wants to believe that Jeff Johns likes Wally West.
Yeah.
I have serious concerns about that. And you say, but he did such a great job until he brought Barry back. Coincidence? I don't think so. Because, I mean, he tried to turn Wally into Barry, for crying out loud. He made Wally a police officer. This guy who had not really had a job of any sort other than courier for 160 issues, which is like 12 years worth of comics. No, 13 years worth of comic books. Didn't have a job. Still managed to make money and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's a police officer. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that was Jeff Johns showing, oh, if I can write Wally like Barry in some ways and reintroduce the Rogues, which I thought was fine, reintroduce the Rogues, I can get Barry back through Wally. And so I kind of checked out for that because there was just so much going on, and I was like, I can't even be bothered.
I feel like at least Jeff Johns knows what the fans like.
Yeah, for the most part. I'm not sold on that because if he did, we wouldn't be getting Doomsday Clock every other month. It'd be ending right about now, right? Because wasn't it supposed to be a year-long thing that ends in November?
12 issues started last November.
Yeah, it's supposed to be one a month. We're supposed to be done with that now. So,
yeah. Well, I have a feeling that's more editorial.
Maybe.
Which when he stepped down and just went to writing, I have a feeling he was tired of some of the stuff going on.
The politics and things, probably.
And which is true for any writer. They don't really care for all the drama. They just want to write good stories. And I've liked a lot of Jeff Johns' writing. I mean, I understand you're not liking Barry being back, and I can understand.
I don't really have a problem with Barry being back. I have a problem with the fact that Barry came back and Wally got pushed to the side.
Yeah.
He got ignored. It's like, well, if we keep Wally here, fans are going to keep demanding Wally.
Right.
And so if we just ignore Wally, then everybody will just suck it up and get used to Barry again, and then it won't matter. And then we'll drag Wally back out when it matters. Right. And that's what they did.
And now
I saw Rebirth, and I'm like, dude, okay, he ain't wearing the same costume, but I'm digging this costume. Brett Booth, pretty sure you were the one credited for designing that costume. I'm not wearing a hat, but I'm tipping the one I got to you, man. It was so good.
The Flash and Rebirth has been amazing.
I love the shock of red hair on top. I love the silver and red. It really sets him apart from the gold and red of Barry. I don't know that there's anything about that costume that I don't like. So you really were close to hooking me. Then you sort of switched string with Titans because just a couple months ago and disrupted what I was. I mean, he died in there, right? Destro killed him or something? He had to get a pacemaker or whatever? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But I was upset about that, but not nearly as much as I am this. Like, this doesn't even make sense.
I was upset, but I was like, okay, let's see what happens.
Right.
And then I waited a couple issues and they fixed it. I was like, okay. So, and with the Heroes in Crisis, this could all be solved in a couple months. Except for that's not the way they're presenting it, right? Like they're saying, no, this is over. Like, and the others, I don't think anybody really said anything. We just kind of waited for the next issue, and that's kind of how I was with when Tim Drake was killed off. I was like, you just brought this guy back. I'm super excited about this in Rebirth, and then you kill him off. But I knew that he was alive, so I was like, I almost dropped Detective Comics and was just gonna wait until Tim was back, but I was like, okay, I'll just see what happens because I wanted to see if they gave any clues, and I had to wait like 6 months to a year almost for Tim Drake. I was like, can we get Tim Drake back? Like, so, that's why I'm like, okay, I'm not ready to boycott,
right?
But, so I'm gonna hold out hope, just see what's gonna happen first. Because I'm pretty upset, and again, I think it's the way he did it is really good story. I just don't like some of the politics that's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, in my mind,
and it's unbelievable.
You could have retired Wally. You literally could have, like they did in Titans, where they end up giving a pacemaker where he can't run fast anymore. You could have done that. That could have been your solution. Had him retire, go have a find Linda, fall in love, and retire. Just leave superheroing behind. And you know what?
And then just
If
only
you
bring him back for the good stuff.
right, I mean, if you had done that, okay, I'd have been fine. But to kill him the way you did, Barry at least went out, you know,
Saving the universe.
saving the universe. You want to kill somebody like Wally West over some post-traumatic stress disorder storyline? I'm so confused by that.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to kill important non-powered human characters, which I'm going to get to that in a minute, but
Yeah, kill. I'm gonna argue is the most powerful Justice Leaguer.
well, dude, he's the most popular Flash too.
Right.
No offense to Barry, I think Barry's fans have pretty much moved on at this point.
Or
By that, I just mean to the reality that they weren't getting their character back, and then they got their character back, and most of them didn't care.
Yeah.
Like Green Lantern Rebirth sold like hotcakes. Flash Rebirth was like, what happened, guys? I thought this was going to be the thing that made all the money. I think most of the fans had gotten to the point where they're like, Barry Allen, patron saint of superheroes. He died saving the universe, and he set the gold standard for doing so.
Yeah.
Like, Superman's death and Fighting Doomsday was moving, but it really can't touch watching Flash run himself to death.
Yeah.
To stop the Anti-Monitor's cannon.
Now I understand bringing Superman back because he's Superman.
Right.
I don't understand bringing Flash back because there's other Flashes.
Right. But that's the thing, and this is why I'm worried they're not going to bring Wally back. They don't need to.
They'll bring him back eventually.
I would imagine so, but they don't need to. Like, there is a Flash, so what do we need Wally for? I mean, that's like they didn't.
Yeah.
DC, I swear to God, your logo, your motto for your company could be "Where legacy lives on." Like, you were the first giant in comics. You could still be the giant in comics. Where legacy lives on, where you have these legacy characters, where you have the Justice Society, but also have the Justice League, where you have the Titans, you have the Outsiders, you have these other characters that are descendants like Jade and Obsidian and Atom Smasher and Wally with Barry and Jay. You've got all these. Why didn't you just kill Jay? I mean, he's old, right? So he was dead before, and
I'd have been upset about that too. Just kill Barry.
If you're gonna bring him back, that makes sense.
So
anyway,
this comes from DC fans. We love DC. We love DC much more than Marvel, and I know that some Marvel people, might argue that, and that's fine. I like that people like Marvel. I like Marvel a lot.
Their movies, excellent.
I love DC's characters better,
right?
And I always have. And I think one of the fun things about DC is that they're okay, or they used to be okay with killing some of their characters and then moving on and focusing on the new characters.
Looking at you, Hal Jordan.
We had Alan Scott.
But they brought him back.
They took him out, and they brought Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
They took out Hal Jordan. They brought in John Stewart.
Well, actually, they kept Alan Scott. They brought him out.
Well, I mean, they've kept some of the old characters, but they
never killed him.
They move on and progress to new characters that are the highlight. And I mean, we still love Hal Jordan, and I like Barry Allen. I like Alan Scott.
I don't mind Barry Allen. I think I
like Superman, but we also now have Connor and Jonathan. And
don't know how that's going to work out come the future. But.
Yeah, I feel like Connor should be like an older brother.
I know, but I just mean they both got the Superboy name. So
we've had so many Robins now, and that's actually been the most permanent.
Right.
Because once a Robin is gone, they don't become Robin again. But they're still around.
And how do they manage to make that work so well?
So well. But that doesn't really work well in Marvel. Marvel tries to bring in new heroes and nobody likes them, which is what happens in DC too. And it takes a while for us to like them. But with Marvel, because they don't really focus on continuity as much.
They pull the trigger and then they pull it back.
Right, over and over and over again. So you end up with these new characters that you like, but it's all convoluted and you don't really understand all the
Right.
all the continuity. And I like some of the newer characters. It's just that DC is starting to have some of the same problems as Marvel, and has for a little while now, because they take back all the things that they did.
Right.
And of course now here's something that we want them to take back. But and to some extent I'm okay with them taking it back if they do it in a way that makes sense.
Right.
So I didn't mind Barry Allen coming back, but don't make that diminish the heroes that have taken his place. Like, I'm okay with them bringing Alan Scott back, but he hasn't overshadowed Hal Jordan. I'm okay with them bringing Hal Jordan back, but don't overshadow the newer Green Lanterns that come.
Right.
I'm okay with them taking Tim Drake out of Robin and putting Damian, but don't let Damian overshadow Dick through Tim, because those other three Robins are amazing.
He doesn't even count Stephanie.
I don't count Stephanie. She wasn't Robin long enough to really be Robin.
Right.
She's spoiler.
Right.
I like spoiler. So that's what I like about DC. They have legacy characters, and they have for decades, almost a century now.
Yeah.
We're getting close, and it's just like
20 years, dude.
Yeah.
20 years in DC Comics.
We'll hit 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already got Action Comics number 1,000.
Right.
Which is crazy. So
DC, I want to be reading comics in 20 years.
If they didn't keep rebooting Action Comics, they would have hit it already.
I don't know.
Because there's a few runs where it starts at 1 again.
I know, but
I don't know if they counted that, but I don't think they did.
I think they did when they reverted to the 980s or something.
I know Marvel did something like that, which was dumb.
Right, because they're still doing
that. They jumped from like Iron Fist number 4 to like Iron Fist 76. I was like, there's no 75, there's no 74. Like, anyways, so.
Okay, so the other thing, I started this video talking about the Titans precisely for the fact that you mooks keep killing the Titans. What the heck? Wally bit it, back in the day. Connor bit it when he was a member of the Teen Titans. Risk, who was a member of the 90s Teen Titans, got both his arms ripped off by stupid Superboy Prime.
Tim Drake.
Panther, who was a member of the 90s Teen Titans, she got ripped in half, I think, by Superboy Prime. Baby Wildebeest, he got killed. It's just like, what is all this hate for the Teen Titans? And I've seen your hit list, Dan Didio, ever how you say your last name. And I didn't stutter. I was trying to say his name. Anyway, Didio. Studio? Or something like that. I forget. It's like a Genesis song. Phil Collins. Whatever. I'm showing how old I really am. You killed Roy, Arsenal. Has that guy not gone through enough?
All right.
Dude, homeboy was hooked on heroin and kicked that habit. He had lady troubles, only to go on and become an awesome dad as a superhero. Then you reboot your universe, and now he's a drunk.
He killed his daughter.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to circle back to that. You turn him into a drunk. I still don't really understand all that. I guess because being a drunk is easier than being a heroin addict, right? I guess. I don't know. It's easier to get a hold of. I don't know. Then you start to straighten him out some, and I'm like, sweet, I can get behind this character again. Because I loved him in the late 90s, early 2000s Titans run when Devin Grayson was writing, and then Jay Faber.
He was good in the Titans Rebirth.
Yes. No, I was getting to that too. He's stealing my glory. I ain't got no glory. He is like this prototypical character about redemption, and you're just not like this time. You just said, Screw it. We don't care. We're going to use him. He'll be fodder. It'll be fine. Nobody cares about Roy Harper. I do.
I like Roy.
I do. I think if anybody's going to lead the Titans other than Dick Grayson, he would be a fine fit for that.
I'd be interested to see him take over the mantle of Green Arrow for a while.
Yeah. See, I'm not even.
But I don't know that he would want to do that.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't.
I feel like he might. If Ollie died or was unable to, I feel like there's enough in him that cares about Ollie that he would actually do it.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Anyway, a few years ago, James Robinson was writing the Justice League, and he did this story that caused a lot of folks to be upset. Prometheus, a Justice League villain, destroyed, I believe it was Star City. Is it Star or Opal? I can't remember which. And it literally fell around Roy. And in the wreckage was Leanne, his little daughter. I mean, she couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old. And you're just like, that's not cool, man. And it sent Green Arrow over the edge. He straight up murked Prometheus. He shot him in the head with an arrow, just right in the face. And you actually feel like, okay, I'm not even mad at you, Green Arrow. Heroes don't kill, but I ain't mad at you. And I feel like you're going in that direction again. You killed Roy just to give Green Arrow some grief. And I don't understand that. Hasn't he suffered enough? I mean, do we have to keep... is there not a way to enjoy these characters such that we recognize that they're comic book characters? Why does everything have to be true to life? I feel like there are certain things that comic book characters can do that we'll never be able to do. And I don't mean their powers necessarily. I mean, Batman in the span of 12 months can have 12 different girlfriends, like he's James Bond or something. That's not reality for anybody. And I understand you're trying to tell a post-traumatic stress disorder story. Tell that. It doesn't have to revolve around murder. If it does, then you're not a good storyteller. I'm just saying. Also, you killed Jodo. And everybody's like, Jodo, who's that? You killed Slagger. I don't know how Dan Jurgens pronounced it, but you killed the one African-American Teen Titan member from Dan Jurgens' run. And you did it in a way that some folks were arguing evokes Trayvon Martin. This kid was a smart kid. Isaiah Crockett, that was his real name. He was a smart kid who was destined to do something, whether he was a hero or whether he just applied his brain. He was a teenager who was starting college when that series started. That's how he banged into Ray Palmer the Atom at Ivy University. And I mean, at this point, the thing you want him to be remembered for is his stupid catchphrase that seems to have been invented. Because I went back and reread my Titans run from the 90s, and I never heard him say that. I never saw him say that. So it's kind of funny that he came up with that, and that Superman knew he had a catchphrase, but obviously Superman didn't care enough to know what it was. I'm not sure I want Superman to be that uncaring. So I'm disgusted by this. Senseless violence. I think there's a way you could have done it that came across more. I'm glad the Green Arrow's mad at Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. I'm glad. I hadn't watched this video yet, but I saw something where it showed Roy was kind of upset at them and not at whoever the killer was. So I think that's appropriate. Yeah, Ollie. I'm sorry, what did I say?
Roy.
Right. I'm sure Roy's upset too.
That's right.
But I mean, if you boil it down and you think about it, this whole sanctuary project was the Big Three's idea. I think Ollie would be mad about that.
Yeah.
You think you know so much. So I don't understand if this doesn't, the only thing I can think of is that this has something to do with Dr. Manhattan, and that this is all going to be undone whenever Jeff Johns gets to finish writing Doomsday Clock. Because I've seen Gary Frank's art. He's very good, but he used to be able to maintain a monthly schedule. So I can't imagine he's the real reason that this isn't being done. If it is him, fine. I'm sorry. I like his art, but I think there's something that can be done about getting it done. So I'm going to stop there. I'm annoyed. I was this close to being on board with supporting you as a company again. I'll support my local comic shop. Continue to buy old comics that are good and make sense. Show me you can write a decent story, Tom King.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
I had him this close to buying comic books again.
Yeah, on a regular basis.
And I might have him on the Marvel side.
Yeah, I might be down for the new Fantastic Four stuff for a little while anyway.
Because that's been really good.
Yeah.
Zdarsky's been great in the 2-in-1, and
yeah, he's gonna lend me those at some point. And
Dan Slott did a good job with Fantastic Four, which I was surprised with.
Me too. Pleasantly surprised.
And there's some other DC writers that I'm gonna keep supporting, like Williamson on the Flash, and the two ladies doing Green Arrow. I think it's ladies. I don't know. I just see the names. It's like Julia and Shannon or something. Anyways, they're doing.
Shannon can be a guy's name.
Okay.
There's a football player named Shannon Sharp. He used to play for the Denver Broncos.
If you say so. I might be wrong about the names, but they've done a great job on Green Arrow, and really have brought that series back to me because I had stopped that. And so there's some DC. I love some of the new age of heroes. It's been great, but
like
I don't buy a lot of Tom Kings, but every time I pick up a Tom King, I end up being disappointed at the end.
No, wait, he's not writing the Terrifics, is he?
No.
Because that would really.
That's like Venditti, I think.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. He wrote Green Lantern for a while, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So, I'll pick up the Grant Morrison, but I don't know. We'll see. I might be not buying any more Tom King after this.
DC, just prove us wrong, please. We don't want to be right about this.
We want to buy your books.
Yeah, we want to support you as a company. We want to see DC thrive.
Yeah, I've been probably one of the happiest fans since Rebirth started because I was like, man, DC is kicking it. Like, they are crushing Marvel right now.
You had good art and you had good stories. What happened?
Because I could say, yeah, your movies aren't great, but comic books, like, they're crushing it.
Right.
You're killing Marvel.
So thank you for doing more than just maintaining copyrights with that stuff.
Right, and the cartoons.
Right.
Cartoons have been great, too.
Yes, that's right.
Anyways, so that's the thoughts. We will try not to be too much downers in the future.
Yeah.
With all this stuff, but we'll see.
But when you kill some of our favorite characters, what are we going to do?
That's right. So let us know what you think about Heroes in Crisis. If you haven't seen it already, you can go check out my other video. I'll link it at the end. And we will catch you next time. Peace.